Susan, you're a jury consultant, all right? You've got jurors who are still taking notes on the closing argument. Does that tell you that they're not sure yet?
Remember, we talked about there's a couple of jurors that are still sway jurors. You know, they're still straddling that fence. But you're right. At this point in time, they've got the weight of the world on their shoulders. Think about what that might be like for them. Decide the fate, the life or the death of a human being. Still, these are people that they don't make these decisions every single day. This is not something that they do when they wake up in the morning and they go to work to make this kind of decisions. This is a heavy-duty decision for them to make, and it's now crunch time, so they're making sure they're dotting every I and crossing every T.
And so what we're seeing now is this jury coming to the point of the reality that they've got an awesome decision to make. They know, because they're death penalty qualified, that if they do find on the top count, that they then go into the penalty phase and will decide life or death. I mean, do you see a difference in them today?
The seriousness of them all. And you know, typically a lot of the times, and you guys have probably noticed this, sitting in the courtroom, sometimes when they're going in and out, you can hear giggles coming from the hallway, and we're wrapping up lunch and we're just having fun conversations with our new friends. I didn't hear any of that today when they were brought in during some of these brief little breaks, and especially not when they went to deliberate. I think they realize what's going on, but I'm very interested to see exactly what the looks on their faces are going to be tomorrow morning after they've had time to actually sit down, because they haven't been able to discuss this with anybody, Judge. Imagine all this crazy stuff we've heard, and they just have to go home at the end of the day and keep it all in.
Or to their hotel anyway. And so, Susan, I mean, do you think they should have worked longer today? I mean, they only worked until 6 o'clock. It's been 8 weeks in sequestration, or almost 8. Why did the judge cut it short?
You know what? I wouldn't have had him work past 6 o'clock either. At this point in time, they probably already chose their foreman. At this point in time, they probably read through the jurors' instructions. And at this point in time, you know, it's a holiday. You know, we're looking around.
But they can't celebrate it. They're in their hotel room.
They wanted to work right through Memorial Day, if you remember.
Right, yes. I do remember that.
They just want to get it done.
But at this point in time, and I agree with you, because right now they just want to get home to their families. But on the other hand, you know, they've still been in court all day long today. It's time for them to just kind of refresh, regroup, wake up in the morning bright and shiny, and let's get this done and pound it out.
All right, let's talk about the fact that we've all been in that courtroom.
Right.
Do you think this is a homogenous jury in the sense that they're kind of going in the same way? Do you see one or two that might not go along with the rest of them? Do you see them as a group who've been together so long that they're kind of already almost at a decision?
No, I really don't at this point in time. I still see a couple of jurors. You know, we talked about juror number 4. That juror still is going to be that standout juror.
And this juror number 4, this is the woman who said that she wasn't sure that she could, you know, impose the death penalty or vote for it.
For religious reasons.
For religious reasons, that God and not she should sit in judgment.
Right.
What do you think is going to happen with her, Holly?
You know, she said at the end of the day she would be able to decide whether Casey Anthony should live or die. Otherwise, she would not be sitting here. But I think that she may be the toughest one to convince, because her pastor told her not to judge, and you could tell she's a very religious woman.
But, Susan, what about the fact that that juror, number 4, who couldn't be sure she could impose the death penalty, but then later said she might, is so tight with juror number 5? I get the sense that they're a team, right?
You know, and what I noticed too, and that's a very good observation, and you and I sat next to each other, and we've noticed that certain jurors kind of pal up. When they have little sidebars and break, they're kind of whispering between them. But the other thing is they mirror each other's body language. That shows massive rapport.
Okay. No, go ahead. I just want to mention juror number 5, white female in her 50s, retired former nurse's aide, doesn't have a computer, guys. She doesn't have a computer. What is she going to understand about computer searches, deleting?
That's a very good point. See, this is what I'm finding, Judge, is that each one of the jurors have something special to bring to jury deliberations. We've got a IT tech. We've got someone that is really dotting every I and crossing every T. Juror number 10, he is really good at timelines. He likes forensic evidence. So each one of them is going to play an integral part of this group communication. And you know what? Juror 11, who is going to be, I think, our foreman, is going to pull it together like a team.
Totally agree.
Now look at the three of us. The three of us agree, everyone. Juror number 11 is the one who's got the body language that is very alpha. He's a white male in his early 30s, teaches 10th grade phys ed, been a teacher for 15 years, knew a little about the case, and we all zoomed in in on him, didn't we, Holly?
You know, it strikes me, he's a coach. Any coach that I've ever had, they're not afraid to get up. They're not afraid to hammer things home. They're not afraid to be the ones to say, I believe this and here's why. And the other thing is that I think is pretty interesting is that he's actually studying to get a master's in special education. So
what does that
while
tell
we
you?
think that he's this tough guy, and you'd probably be better on this than I would, I think that he's got a sensitive side. I mean,
Yeah,
you really
he
have
does.
to be a special kind of person to go into special education. I mean, not every
Absolutely.
teacher can
All
do
right,
it.
so
I
he's
think
not just
that
Mr. Alpha, he's got a
he's not
sensitive
just
side.
Mr. Alpha,
All
he's
right, we'll
Mr.
find
Alpha
out
with a
afterwards if
sensitive
we're
side.
right about this. But anyone else on that juror, you know, I think juror number one, the grandmotherly, she looks like a grandmother.
Yeah.
She connected with Cindy Anthony when she took the stand and
Yes.
started weeping. Where do you think she is on this one?
Well, I find her as the solid rock that everyone kind of wants to go to for advice. And, you know, with the age, there's wisdom. And you know what? She's always, you know, so well manicured. She's very fastidious. She is really good at time. I noticed that when it comes to the searches and the timelines. You know what? Let me tell you something. This is one bright lady. Okay? She's a sharp tack.
Yeah,
and she's a mental health counselor.
Exactly.
Right, and she's an individual who has lived life, but I saw her body language totally change when Cindy Anthony took the stand, and you could feel, it was palpable how her heart went out to Cindy Anthony. And you know, I wonder, is that going to play in their deliberations as to guilt or non-guilt, that we're punishing grandparents ultimately whose granddaughter died if we take their daughter away? Will that play?
You know, I think that it will. And just in conversations that I've had with my mom, and this has been the talk of her office, she lives 60 miles from here, and there are a lot of grandmothers with grandkids around the same age as Kaylee. I have a niece that is around the same age that Kaylee was when she died, and my mom keeps saying, you know, she has her thoughts, she has her opinions on this, but at the end of the day, she said, I can sometimes understand why she sticks her neck out for Casey. It's her daughter. It's your child. I don't have kids. I can't quite relate to that yet. I know I give my own life for my niece, but you know, it's different when people say you're a parent, and it's true.
Okay.
Just the way
All
I've
right.
seen grandparents react to this, Judge.
All right, Holly, Susan, thanks so much.